Good morning, everyone. Kris here with Inspired Energy. Joining me, Hartwell. Good morning, Hartwell.
Good morning, Kris. Good morning, everyone.
So, continuing on our one by one look at the gates, we're doing the Gate of Shock, number 51 today. So, what can you tell me? What are the energies that we're looking at when we're looking at Gate 51?
Well, Gate 51 is in the heart center, which, of course, is the willpower center. And this is the energy of people who need to be the first at something. They're very competitive. They love to go where no one else has dared. They love to push their comfort zones. And I mean, this isn't so much, a delight in when I say competition, it's not so much about competing with other people as competing with oneself.
Mm-hmm.
But it does have a very shocking and awakening sort of energy to it. So this is the kind of energy that, look alive, people, come on. It's like, it's very anti-entropy. If you know
Mm-hmm.
the word entropy, that's the tendency of everything to kind of go downhill.
Mm-hmm.
Shock is very much about the opposite of that. And even when people only have the gate of shock, what you notice is that they seem more willing to, they seem gutsy to the rest of us. Oh my God, I can't believe you did that. That is so gutsy. That is so courageous. So there's this gutsiness to it, this willing to take what look like risks or leaps of faith.
Mm-hmm.
Um, This is the energy for individual initiative because it is part of an individual channel. The whole channel is called the channel of initiation, a design of needing to be first.
Mm-hmm.
So again, there's that, first cross the river kind of thing, first into space. Makes me think of Star Trek, to boldly
Mm-hmm.
go where no one has gone before. Um, So, backed by the ego's will and courage, it embodies the power to compete, driving you to be the one step, driving you to be one step ahead of everybody and to risk going where no one has gone before in order to create a place for yourself and potentially everyone who's coming after you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because these people, because of this capacity, these are the people who are designed to withstand shock and to shock other people out of their complacency, of their safe consumer, their safe cocoons kind of thing. So yeah, it really disrupts the status quo, this gate. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's super interesting. I mean, you know how they talk in spiritual circles, there's the legend of spiritual masters that if you go and spend time with them, something shifts just because you spend time with them.
Mm-hmm.
Energetically, just sitting in the audience with a
Mm-hmm.
person who might have the channel of initiation can can put you through shifts. That's
Mm-hmm.
this channel.
Mm-hmm.
That's this channel. And it is one of three explicitly spiritual channels in the body
Mm-hmm.
graph. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I look at some of the people on the list, um, and you talk about how to recognize the gene key, right? Cowardly and hostile. Because there are some people that on the list in particular that I know that I would never say that they have this gate because they're in the shadow. So it's
Mm.
quite deceiving. Um, like when it comes to something like that doesn't mean anything, like a game or something, I can see the competitiveness. But when it comes to like life and taking on challenges and new things, I don't see that in some of these people. So it's interesting um, when you look at those types of things, right?
Yes, yes. Well,
Mhm.
the of course the gift. Um, to be in the gift energy, to be in the gift energy of ourselves is a radical departure from the shadow energies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. If we talk about that for a minute, if we look
Mm-hmm.
at the gene key from the gene key perspective, the three words, the journey is from taking initiative to being initiated. So that's kind of the overall arc. But in the shadow, that doesn't even appear because the shadow is agitation. The gift is initiative,
Mm-hmm.
and the chat and the city is awakening.
Mm-hmm.
So if we look at the shadow for a moment, what does agitation look like? Well,
Mm-hmm.
agitation arises because life is competitive. We are all competing to sell ourselves, to get our access to limited resources. But also agitation arises because life is forever beyond our control. Um, and there's this insecurity that arises. We see people um, who seem to experience the say you're in London during the Second World War when the Germans were bombing London. It's like any block, any particular place could be bombed. And you wake up in the morning and your next door neighbor has been bombed, and nothing is left and you're fine. So there's this insecurity, which are you going to be, or am I going to be the one that gets hit?
Mm-hmm.
And that creates this underlying agitation. And really, we see that, at the level of fear, all shadow frequencies share that same characteristic, the characteristic of not trusting in life itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, how do you come to trust? I mean, I can't say that I trust unconditionally in life. I have moments where I feel that, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't have that consistently. But you see, trust is not an intellectual issue. You can't talk yourself into trusting life, nor can you, oh, I'll just keep working on my emotional issues and hope to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, trust in life is a physical, sort of visceral experience. It's either
Mm-hmm.
something you feel within the cells of your body or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And until you do, there's always this sense that the fearfulness of life is going to grip one again. So, I mean, none of us, including me, are immune from living out the shadow frequency side of life.
Mm-hmm.
We're all striving to get to the gift level, and sometimes we hear some of the notes, some of the strains of the melody of the city moving in us. So the role of shock being that agitating energy, is to chip away at our sense of separateness
Mm-hmm.
from life, and to eventually, hopefully, win us help us win free from a false security of our shadow consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of people say, it's like they act almost addicted to their fear, Kris, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of like if I they don't believe it's possible to live in a world that isn't motivated by fear, because they believe that fear somehow keeps them safe. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
false security of the shadow consciousness we're speaking
Right.
of.
Yeah, that's that fight or flight all the time, and the survival instinct. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if I were to give up that, then I would be giving up my ability to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but so this really points to, as long as we're afraid, as long as we deny death, which most of us do, we don't want to think about it. We don't want to really accept it.
Mm-hmm.
The fear of death and death denial strangles our life force.
Mm-hmm.
It's only people that had truly confronted the the factuality and the inevitability of their physical death. It's only those people that truly feel alive. And we hear stories about that all the
The
time.
near-death experiences and stuff that people have, and then they come back and they have a whole different perspective on life. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It almost makes you want to have a near-death experience.
Oh, yeah, I know. That was one of my things.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I just want to like have a near-death experience, and then I can like have that enlightenment. Yeah. But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not everybody's path, right? God chooses which path.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sometimes the agitation of the shadow becomes so powerful that it makes people act in really odd and extreme ways that can mimic or make it look somehow that they're fearless, but really they're not.
Yeah.
I mean, as Rudd says that, if you're trapped in the 51 first shadow, that is hell. It's really hell. They tend to be, these are the people who tend to be very, very depressed, or they act out in extreme ways from a sense of futility. So these are the people that create the news. These are the people that do shocking, crazy, horrible things in the world. Of course, our media loves to report on these kind of people. But maybe, let's get a little relief from that and talk about the gift. The gift is initiative. It stirs up good fortune wherever it goes. It activates the code for individual empowerment. This is where the human competitive spirit gets put into the service of creativity. And it reveals to us that the only true path to awakening is to step off the beaten track and follow the dictates of your own inner being. Because this is part of an individual circuit, an individual channel, it reveals to us that there is the only way to true awakening is to embrace our own uniqueness and to realize that there is no path. We have to create the path. So that's pretty exciting. That always gets me inspired.
And I think that that's probably why a lot of people, when they try to follow other people's paths, it doesn't work for them, because they're meant to have their own and forge their own path. Yeah.
Well, it seems to be human nature. We see somebody doing something amazing, and we don't yet know or have enough self-love to realize that we need to do it our own way. And we wonder, and it's natural for us to think, well, if I do what they've done, maybe that will get me there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Very human, humans, as our mentor would say.
Exactly.
It's interesting because this is very much a warriorish energy in a way, like gate 38, the gate of the fighter, or gate 39, the gate of the provocateur, both of which I know you have, Kris.
Yes.
That energy of the warrior. But the 38, 39 are very bound up in an energy of struggle. Whereas the 51 is not. The 51 is not about struggling. It's about taking a leap into the higher self. And, all are cool, but the 51 is that leap that we hear about and metaphorically speaking.
It's like the Fool card.
Yeah. It's like people with this gift are not leaders per se. They're initiators. They're not trying to lead anybody, but people will want to follow them just because they've gone somewhere.
Because they're cool.
They are super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
So I was going to say, maybe you can move on to awakening. Like, what does that look like for this gate?
Well, in the ancient I Ching, the name for 51 is the arousing thunder. So, when somebody carries this gift or touches into the city, there's a sense of there's a sense of how it disrupts and shocks.
Mm-hmm.
Think of thunder.
Mm-hmm.
To somebody in an awake, somebody who's coming genuinely from this perspective, they see the world in a very simple way. People are either awake or they're
Mm-hmm.
asleep.
Right.
You know, that's it. And of
Yeah.
course, the vast majority of us are asleep. There's no levels within awakening. You don't half wake up, or 2/3 wake up, or 3/4 wake up. You're either awake or you're asleep. And when awakening comes, it comes forever.
Mm-hmm.
There's no signs, there's no paths. When it comes, it comes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in that state, um, there is no resistance to the full force of life moving through a person.
Mm-hmm.
So then they just seem the energy that rises, that moves through them, the gifts and the energy that they bring to the world is like this. It's like this unstoppable fountain,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of like the thunder. It just rolls out of them, like I think when we talk about the sound of thunder, of course, which is a response to a lightning strike, it does sound like it's rolling, like giant
Mm-hmm.
timpanis in the sky.
Right.
And that's kind of the force of awakening as it moves through the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, and I mean, even at the gift level, the gift, initiative, that
Mm-hmm.
sort of that creativity that is just so initiating and shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, often the most successful companies um, are companies that have within them employees that have awakened, at
Mm-hmm.
least at the gift level, because that's the competitive spirit that you feel sometimes within certain organizations. There's
Mm-hmm.
just this energy that they have, this energy of creativity and
Mm-hmm. It's
they
almost like they just want to attain and be the best that they can be. It's like not necessarily competitive with the outside world or with each other. It's about competing with themselves to attain a level in order to awaken to whatever that gift is within themselves, right?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
They're the ones that want to outdo their own previous bests.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And at the level of the gift that
Mm-hmm.
shows up as this entrepreneurial vigor and
Mm-hmm.
creativity. I was
Mm-hmm.
kind of laughing as I was just reading something about Trump's new presidency and what he's doing, and he's applied um, Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk to a new task force
Mm-hmm.
that is going to be about entrepreneurial efficiency. So
Mm-hmm.
he's asked them to serve the U.S. government by helping reduce government inefficiency.
Yeah, and waste, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I kind of wondered. It's like, I wonder if Elon Musk has as 51. He's known for being very bold.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's to
I
be
think
around
more
those.
like Trump would have like shock and awe 51. I mean, that's how he tends to present to the world, right? Um,
Well, he does have the channel of money, which is all about being an entrepreneur. I
mhm,
did I did specifically look. Oh, I wonder if he has 51 this morning,
mhm.
just a half an hour ago, and no,
Yeah.
he doesn't. But
Oh, well, maybe that's
um,
why he needs Elon.
yeah, well, I mean, I think it's a good idea.
Mhm.
It's like, and so it seems a good idea that somebody would specifically be looking to make things more efficient.
Well, it seems
Um,
funny, but that for me, like not politics, but for me, the thing about Trump is he's seeking out people who are experts at what they do and not trying to do it himself. And I think that comes from his business background and his background as a leader within different companies, right? I mean, I don't know his design or his chart, but to me, that would look like kind of what he's doing is he's putting together people who can accomplish stuff like that, right? For him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see what the effects are. But it, on that level, it seems like, well, that's a good idea. Why has nobody done that before?
So we're kind of go ahead.
It's interesting that he seems to be able to attract interesting allies, and he's got the channel of mating, that which is all about creating intimacy. So it's like, wow, he interesting that he was able to attract and get, Elon Musk's sort of buy-in to something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So we're a little bit over time here. Is there anything you want to say to wrap up Gate 51 today?
I would say about Gate 51, it's like this would be an easy one to idolize. But we live in a world with people who do have that. So there are ways to engage with and enjoy those energies, even if we don't have it ourselves. And of course, to remember always that your own gifts are needed in the world. That's kind of what I would say about that when we come across something that seems charismatic and really cool. And also I would say, if you want to discuss insights and the implications of all these different energies and how they show up in the world, come to my monthly group where we discuss what's going on in your own chart, the charts of the people around you, where we share insights and we grow our wisdom by being in a group.
Yeah, the last one was very enlightening for all of us, I think, that were there. So that will be the last Wednesday of the month at 6 o'clock or 6:30. I can't remember. It's on Eventbrite and on our Facebook page. You can go there and sign up. And if you think that it would be valuable for anybody in your family or any of your friends, it's fun to bring them along too, so that you can kind of discuss, different things with each other's charts and stuff. So do that. It's a fun and community thing for us to do. So with that, we'll say goodbye. God bless. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next Wednesday.